This will be here for your reference at a later date. So again, I told you yesterday that I'm a very visual person. If I can't see it, my brain just does not register it. So even though I know a lot of you guys might do this first step in your head, I'm going to write it out. Just take a wild guess. What do you think is going to be the first thing that I'm going to do? Could be a lot of things. You can't really have a wrong answer here. What do you think I might do first? What do you think?
The number in the parentheses.
Okay. Now, I am going to do that one that's in the parentheses first, and I'm so glad that you said that. Thank you very much. Because we are going to be doing order of operations soon. And this is another thing that, absolutely no offense to middle school teachers whatsoever, because I was one. But sometimes they hammer in on that order of operations, the parentheses stuff a lot, so you're like, I always got to do whatever's in parentheses first. And that's because they told you that a lot. When we're doing something like this, that's not necessarily the case, because what some people think is, oh, these are in parentheses, I should do those first. Like, you get that misconception. In algebra, especially Algebra 1, we use parentheses a lot to keep stuff like looking nice and neat and orderly, not necessarily to say you have to do it first. Because if you have like this negative and that negative sitting next to each other, that would look kind of weird. So a lot of the time we put the parentheses in there just to keep it looking neat. So make sure you're aware of that, that sometimes the parentheses are only there to keep it organized. Okay, so that's a great, but I am going to address that negative 28 in parentheses. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that minus a minus. That's the first thing I'm going to get rid of. So you're just writing it on, oh, and no calculators. We won't be able to use calculators on Thursday. I forgot to tell you that part. Eek. So let's see what you think the first step is going to be. So, yes, ma'am. What'd you do?
So, since it's minus negative 28, I took away both of the subtraction signs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did 23 plus 28.
That is exactly what I would have done. I would have converted that to a 23 plus 28. Okay. So yeah, normally when we're taking notes and we're doing examples in class, like this little app I use, like just uploads it right up there. Okay. Yep. So step one, we took our negative, turned it into a plus. Then we added the 23 and the 28 together. And because the 51 and the negative 34 were different signs, we had to subtract. Take the sign of the one you got more of, not the higher number. On the pre-assessment, there were lots and lots of negative 17s instead of positive 17s. And we got an idea, because I'll bet I know what mistake we were making. Anybody else got an idea what mistake we were making? What do you think?
We thought that 50, like since it was already negative, like a positive and a negative makes a negative.
Ding, ding, ding. Most common boo-boo people make all the time, all day long. If I had $1 for every time somebody does it, I would be very, very rich. You get those rules mixed up, and you think, oh, a positive and a negative makes it a negative. Exactly. So the good news is you guys aren't clueless. Yeah, we're just getting our rules a little bit mixed up, so which is why we just needed a little review. Okay, did we get finished with number 12 by any chance while we were gone? If we didn't, it's okay. I'm sorry, number 2. I don't know why I just said, yeah. See, I do stuff like that. That's stuff where you just have to, like, get over it and be like, I know what she meant. Okay, so remember from the notes what I said yesterday, that I get that question constantly where people say, oh, is that a negative or is that a subtraction sign? What did I say about that yesterday? It's the same thing. You just, especially when we start dealing with like terms in algebra, you need to get in your head that those are just negatives that you're going to combine, okay? So, again, I'm going to say a negative equals subtraction for my reasoning. So, guys, all you're doing is putting together 3 negative numbers. That minus 13 in the middle, that's just a negative 13. So you're doing 3 sets of negative 13. So 13 and 13 and 13 is going to give you, if you just add them together, it gives you 39, I think, right? So they were the same sign. Add, and this is the one time that one of those cheesy songs, I'm like, all right, that's all right. Same sign, add and keep. I'm okay with that because you're just keeping the same sign. Feeling a lot better about this now than we did on the pre-assessment? We should be, because from looking at your boards and stuff, you guys are looking pretty good. Okay, number 3. We're multiplying 2 times 7 times 8 So first of all, I'm just going to do that multiplication. That's what I always do first. I ignore the signs, bless you. I ignore the signs, and then I go back and deal with the signs after I do the multiplication, because that's where I usually screw up, to be honest. So 2 times 7, of course, is 14. And you know how I told you I'm visual. I literally cannot multiply 14 times 8 without writing it down. Like, I can carry and stuff in my head, but I got to see it. Like, I have to see it. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's 112. So we multiplied the 3 numbers just like normal. How many negatives do we have?
2.
So 2 negatives means that this is going to be a positive. So we're going to keep that 112 the way it is. Last but not least, find the quotient. What's a quotient mean? Division, right. I think a lot of us forgot what that line meant because I saw some people on the pre-assessment like subtracting and stuff. So I think we just got a little confused. Okay, so first step, just like I do when I do multiplication problems, I divide first. I get what, in my opinion, is the hard part out of the way first. 35 divided by 7 is 5. But this time, there's only 1 negative. So the quotient is negative.